like I'm still thinking in my dreams. So I'm still experiencing like how I think, the talking, the constant, it's always there even when I'm in my dreams. That's why I think it makes it more realistic.
So you can notice the thoughts in your mind in your dreams?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's like Inception right there.
Want to support the podcast? You can purchase fun and unique items like t-shirts and books at shanesbraindomain.com. Pop on over and take a look. Thank you for supporting the Discovering Your Mind podcast. Aphantasia is a condition characterized by an inability to visualize mental images in one's mind. If you have just discovered that you or someone you love has aphantasia, or if you're just fascinated by the subject in general and love learning more about it, you are in the right place. The Discovering Your Mind podcast delves into all aspects of the mind's eye, including aphantasia, hyperphantasia, and everything in between. Welcome to the Discovering Your Mind podcast, brought to you by shanesbraindomain.com. I am your host, Shane Williams, also known as Shane's Brain. I'm joined today by my son, Cole, who will be my co-host for this episode. Say hi, Cole.
Hey, guys. Good to be here.
And today we're talking with the one and only Alex Williams.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Alex is my daughter-in-law and Cole's wife.
My wife.
Imagine how
Hi,
that
my
works.
wife. Yeah, I think there was a wedding involved.
Yep.
Yes, I seem to remember that.
Yes.
All right. So, Alex, what's your deal? What do you do for a living?
I work with special ed kids in an elementary school.
All right, cool. What about hobbies, interests, things you do for fun? What do you like?
Hobbies, I love reading and drawing. Yeah, those are two of the big ones.
Okay. All right. Well, let's dive into this. Go ahead there, Cole. In this episode, we will be referring to what we call the apple graph. If you would like to view the apple graph to play along and better understand what we're talking about, you can find it on shanesbraindomain.com in the Aphantasia and Beyond section. If you are unable to view the apple graph for whatever reason, it is a graph divided into 6 sections. In the number 6 section, there is a very detailed image of a red apple. In the number 5 section, it is the same image but with less detail. Number 4 is still in color but has less detail and more basic shapes instead of detailed hues and gradients. Number 3 is the less detailed apple but in gray tones without the color. Number 2 is a simple outline of the apple. And number 1 is blank, indicating no visualization whatsoever. This is called aphantasia.
Imagine a red apple in your mind. Now, take a look at that apple graph. Which one best represents what you saw in your mind's eye?
Number 6.
Number 6.
Mm-hmm. I see it kind of like I'm in the store, almost like holding it like a Honeycrisp apple, specifically.
Okay, interesting.
If you're holding it, is it that it's projecting or that you're in the image? Can you describe that a little bit?
It's like I'm there, like I would be looking down at my hand holding an apple.
And if you hold out your hand, you can see the apple in your hand?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, next we'd like you to imagine a horse in your mind. Is it like looking at a picture or more of just a thought or something else?
It's more like of a realistic thing for me. The horse is always like coming right up to like the side of a white fence, like it's moving.
Okay, and it's very realistic looking?
Very realistic.
Okay. You said it's coming up to a white fence?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other background images or anything that you see?
Yeah, it's mostly just like a field behind it and the rest of the fence, but yeah, there's definitely that background. And
it's in color, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Are the colors vibrant or muted?
Right now they're pretty muted. If I concentrate hard enough, I can make them vibrant, but right now they're kind of muted.
Would you say by default in most cases they're a little muted?
I think it depends on the day, honestly. Sometimes it's just automatically super vibrant.
Okay. Do you have any other explanation for that?
I really think it's kind of just related to tiredness and how hard my brain wants to work.
Okay. Is the image more clear with your eyes closed or your eyes open?
It's always more clear with my eyes open. Like
Okay.
it just feels more forced if my eyes are closed.
Is the image solid or transparent?
It's solid.
If you're in your room like you are right now and you are imagining the horse, does it block? You know what I'm asking? Does it?
Yeah. Does it block my vision?
Does it block your vision? Yeah.
No. No, I don't know how to explain how it's solid and doesn't block my vision at the same time. Maybe it's more of like a peripheral thing. Like
Okay.
I really can't explain that.
Okay. Is it 2D or 3D?
It's 3D.
Once you have imagined it, like you're imagining this horse in front of you in 3D, can you rotate it to like see various parts of the horse like a 3D image?
Mm-hmm. You started asking that and like twisting your hand, and I immediately started seeing it turn and face its butt towards me. Like,
Do you see the horse in your mind or is it projected out in front of you?
I think it's more projected out in front of me.
Okay. Is that the same with your eyes closed or your eyes open?
I think if my eyes are closed, it's more just in my mind. I don't know. I feel like I have to be like seeing the things around me to be able to project it, you know?
Okay. So when you're projecting it, does it work like a projector? Like I need a blank white wall, I'm going to put it up on the wall. Is it like that or something? What's it like?
I can do it with just about any like background that I have. Fortunately, I happen to have a white wall. It makes it a little easier if my brain, like I said, I think it's all kind of brain power as well. Like if it just has to work harder if it's not a white background.
If it made a sound, could you hear it in your mind?
Yes, I can.
Okay, now we want you to imagine a cup on a table that you accidentally knock over. What type of cup was it?
It's a red Solo cup.
What type of table was it?
Just one of those like white folding tables.
How did the cup get knocked over?
I ran into the table.
When you knocked the cup over, did anything spill out of it?
Yeah, water spilt out.
So, we ask these questions to talk about how your brain is filling in these details that we didn't give you. All we said was cup, table, and you knocked it over. Is there any reason why you think your brain went to those specific things?
I'm not really sure. Maybe it's because I've knocked over my fair share of Solo cups in my life. I don't know.
Did the sequence appear as a video in your mind or something else?
No, it was more like I was experiencing it, just running into the table, panicking because I see it falling and not being able to catch it,
So there was a little bit of emotion attached to it as well, would you say?
Just that little bit of like shock when you do like knock over a glass of something, like,
Would you say that like most of your visualizations automatically have some sort of emotion with them?
I think so. I think most of my thoughts, like everything's just very interconnected. So I do get a lot of like emotion to like what I'm visualizing.
Did this mental image also have sound?
Not initially. If I concentrate right now, though, I can hear it.
So it's optional, but you can put it in if you'd like to.
Well, normally my audio processing is like the strongest. It's weird that right now it's not.
All right. And now we're going to talk about what I'm calling perspective visualization. Imagine any room. Can you imagine all four walls at once?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you doing that? What's it look like?
Like the wood floor was the first thing that came, and then the walls kind of followed.
So can you imagine all four walls and all four corners at once?
Like lay it down flat like a map, kind of, or
however you can figure out how to do that. That's what we're trying to do here with these questions is how does your mind solve this problem? And can you do it?
I mean, yeah, like I can walk in and see the corners, all of the corners and the walls, initially like when you're walking through the doorway, or I can be in the room and turn and see all of them. Like I'm experiencing it. I feel like that's a lot of how I visualize it, is like I'm experiencing it.
Okay. So since it's very realistic, the way you visualize is like a real experience, then seeing all four walls and all four corners at the same time really isn't very practical, right?
No, not really. It's like I can see the three, but if I want to see like all four, I have to like do a turn.
Can you zoom outside of the room to imagine the entire exterior of the building?
Yeah.
Can you zoom out further to view the entire neighborhood?
Yeah, I can.
And can you zoom out even further to imagine the entire city?
I mean, there's a lot less detail, but yeah.
Anything else you can describe about what that experience was like?
It's kind of like if you've ever been on like Google Maps and like really zoomed into something and then you just zoom out little bits at a time. That's kind of how that was.
Was your mind just filling in details the farther out you got?
Yeah, it was kind of like, because I don't know every street in the city, I don't know the layout of everything, where all the houses are. So I think my mind kind of just filled in those blanks. It gets a little more vague. Like if you've ever seen blueprints to a house, like it has just like the outlines for like the walls and doors and stuff. It kind of almost looks sketchy like that.
Okay. We're going to talk about general visualization stuff. In general, when you close your eyes, what do you see?
Mostly light coming in through my eyelids, if that makes sense. Like it's not completely dark because of the light. It's kind of almost orange because of my skin. Like, unless I'm trying to visualize something, that's kind of just what that is visually.
Okay, so you would say there isn't always something visual going on in your head?
No.
Can you think of nothing if you want to?
No. No.
So your visualization, it seems like, isn't always on, but you still say you can't think of nothing. So can you describe at all what you're experiencing in your mind when there's not something visual going on?
The audio. Like my thoughts are like me talking. And it's always going. Always something happening.
Okay, so the visualization is not always there, but the audio is pretty constant.
Always. It makes it so hard to fall asleep.
Okay. Does your ability to visualize vary depending on circumstances, details, and events?
Yeah, if I'm really tired that day, there's not a whole lot of visualization going on in my head. Or like math, that's not something I can visualize in my head at all. That's always something that I've struggled with.
Do you tend to visualize things you've already seen before, or do you tend to create new and unique images in your mind?
Oh, I do both.
Let's talk about that horse again.
Okay.
The horse, was that a creation of your mind, or was that a horse you've seen before?
That one in particular was a creation. I do have family that has horses and had horses, and I grew up with my grandparents having a horse.
So are your creations, because you said this horse you made was a novel creation, is it as detailed and accurate as the real thing?
Oh yeah.
That is wild, because when I try to create something new and novel, it's a crappy drawing. I find that super interesting that you can still create those novel images, but it's just like something you've seen before. So
yeah, I think just having enough reference really does that.
when it comes to mind visualization on a scale from 1 to 10, how much is it like actual seeing?
I'd say it's probably about an 8.
I want you to imagine an old woman that you have never seen before wearing a yellow dress.
Sorry, I had to change that up. You said old woman, and I started picturing something, and then you said yellow dress. Initially, before the yellow dress, it was an old woman I'd never seen before.
Okay.
Like she had like a little shawl over her head, but then you said yellow dress and like I'd put, my concentration on that. So I had to like start rebuilding that.
Okay.
And so that process was not automatic.
Okay. That's so interesting. How much did she resemble a real person?
If I'm being totally honest, that one was more of like almost cartoonish. Like
Okay.
in between like realistic and cartoonish.
So with the detail, like, could you see the wrinkles in her skin or anything like that?
Yeah. I actually didn't see a whole lot of her skin. I just saw like her face. She had like a big old nose and then a shawl wrapped around and like just tons of dark clothing, like black long sleeve shirt. I did see her hand. She was holding a cane and like a long black skirt with polka dots.
So all that detail came in before I said yellow dress. Then
Yes.
I said yellow dress and it all had to change.
It just threw me off. And then I was
you couldn't just put the woman in a yellow dress.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah,
She had
that's
like
so
a
interesting.
dark and mysterious vibe. She didn't fit the yellow sundress that I started trying to visualize.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
If you can, try and picture that yellow dress. Could you match the yellow color of the dress to a paint swatch at Home Depot next week?
Yeah. Yeah, I could.
Really?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so jealous of that.
All right. So back to the old woman. Whatever old woman you got going there, I don't know. Can you create a TV show with her as the main character and watch an episode in your mind?
Yeah.
Really?
I can. And a lot of it is like, it's almost like an old-timey kind of cartoon. But like I see her just walking down the street in the neighborhood and she's just walking, but somehow leaving just a trail of destruction everywhere she's going. Maybe I'm manifesting my future, but
All right, that is pretty cool. So, what about this one? Can you make her appear 40 years younger?
Yeah.
What's the process and how easy was that and how accurate do you think it is?
It took a little bit of effort. The hunch in her back went away, so she got a little taller, slimmer, still wearing black clothes. She looks like she's enjoying life.
So back to the creating new images versus things you've seen before. And you tell me if I'm right on this or not, but it sounds like when you have to go to the creating new images things, it tends to go a little more cartoony.
I think my brain just does not want to put like a ton of effort into like, other than the horse, because I have so much reference, it doesn't want to put a ton of work into making it realistic right now.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, we're going to move on to Mind Audio. Do you have an inner monologue?
Yeah.
Can you describe that, what that means to you? That's a term that kind of means something different to everybody. So explain what inner monologue means to you.
The way I think, it's like as real as the way I'm speaking to you right now. Like this is how I hear my thoughts. Like it's just that process. It's almost like I'm talking to myself.
What does the phrase, I have a song stuck in my head, mean to you?
Well, I actually hear the song, but a lot of the time I will get stuck on one part in particular and sing it over and over again. Or like hear it over and over and again. Sometimes I'll sing along with it, but...
Do you see that as a positive experience or does it annoy you?
I'd say mostly positive.
So when it comes to Mind Audio, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much is it like actual hearing?
10.
Awesome. I want you to imagine a song that you know well that involves multiple instruments and vocals.
That one's a little harder for me right now.
Just having a hard time picking a song?
No, it's because Tootie Ta just came in my head and now it's stuck there and I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I don't know if the Tootie Ta has multiple instruments.
That's what I'm saying. I work with kids all the time. That's why it's stuck there. Okay, now I'm good. I got it.
You got something? All right. Mm-hmm. Can you hear all of the instruments or just some of them?
I think all of them.
Can you hear tonal changes as the melody plays out?
With the voice, yeah. I'm having a hard time separating the voice from the instruments, but yeah.
Can you change the tempo by speeding it up and slowing it down?
Yeah.
Can you imagine switching instruments in and out? For example, can you hear a guitar as a trumpet?
I mean, vaguely. I don't really listen to a lot of songs with trumpet in it, so that one's actually
Right.
kind of hard for me to do.
What about something you're more familiar with?
I could switch it out with like a piano.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. So you actually changed the way the song sounds.
Yeah.
That is amazing to me. Can you make the singer sound deeper and higher at will?
I can make it sound higher, but it's within like that range that they already have in the song. If
Right.
that makes sense. They're just singing it in those like higher or lower notes.
Yeah, like an octave lower or an octave higher.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Yoda singing the song instead?
I can. It's weird because my brain's trying to like mix up the words like he does though.
Right.
And I'm like, that doesn't work with the song.
I was hoping somebody would say that about the Yoda.
So like the very beginning of the song first starting out, I can. The rest of it is kind of like,
because you don't know exactly what he would say.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the song played in a different genre? For example, a heavy metal song played as bluegrass.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The one
What's
I'm thinking
like?
of is more of like a slower song, but yeah, I can imagine it metal actually.
What's the genre of the song originally?
I don't know. It's a sad song.
What's the song?
18.
Oh, 18 by Ed Sheeran.
Okay.
So,
and you can make that sound heavy metal.
Yeah. I think my mind went to that because there's a lot of emotion in that song, and I don't think people give metal enough credit in terms of their music and being emotional. So I think that's why that translation was so easy.
Spread laughter all around with funny and witty t-shirts from Shane's Brain. Check out fan favorites like Once in a Blue Moon, Tired of Laundry, and the Ramalama Ding Dong shirts, all on shanesbraindomain.com.
All right, let's talk about the other senses. We've talked a lot about visualization and sound. Let's talk about some of our other senses. Imagine a chocolate chip cookie in your mind. Can you smell it in your mind?
No, not right now.
Okay, can you explain that?
It's because the one I visualized wasn't warm. It was cold.
Okay.
So you can't just smell a cold cookie, you know?
Can you visualize a warm cookie?
Yeah, I can.
Can you smell that one?
Yeah.
I'm going to argue with that. You can smell a cold cookie, but we won't go into that debate.
It's not
right
as strong of a smell.
We're not going to argue about that right now, sweetie. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much is it like actual smelling? The warm cookie.
I'd say maybe a 6 or 7.
But only if the cookie's warm.
I can smell it cold too. I just have to, you know?
Can you snort the cookie?
That's a new range of questions.
I mean, if you really wanted me to, I could.
Oh, I just felt that, actually. That's not a pleasant feeling. All right. Can you taste it in your mind?
Yeah.
Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's that one?
I feel like the taste has always been like an 8 or a 9 for me. Like when I get food cravings, it's because I can taste it, and like that's what like they're so prominent and they're like so persistent. It's because I'm tasting it, and so my brain is just like not giving it up.
So imagine eating a ripe cantaloupe. Can you taste it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine changing its taste by adding salt?
Yeah.
Now imagine eating an unripe cantaloupe. Can you taste the difference?
Yeah. I can.
Can you imagine tasting two different flavors at the same time? Like a banana and
Like,
chocolate.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like kind of opposite flavors or
Yeah. What about opposite flavors? What about ketchup and ice cream?
I can. That one takes a little longer.
Does it taste good?
No, it's very gross.
You know what banana and chocolate taste like together, so that was probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But you've never had ketchup ice cream, right? Or have
Not
you?
to my memory.
Don't answer.
All right. So when you put those two flavors together, do you think it was pretty accurate?
I think so. It took a little longer to like build that up. I had to like imagine them almost separately first and then bring them together.
Does your ability to taste in your mind help you when you're cooking? Is it useful when you're cooking? I guess the question is, can you mix something in your mind and taste it and know how it's going to taste when you actually make it?
Yeah.
So you literally taste it in your mind first.
Yeah.
And then that helps you decide what to put in the food.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to finish up our other senses here. Can you, going back to the chocolate chip cookie, can you touch it in your mind? Can you feel it in your hands and your mouth?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much is that like actual touching and feeling?
When I'm touching it with my hands, I think that's more accurate than like just the mouth feel.
Okay. So where would you rate that on the scale?
My hands, I'd say maybe like an 8. In my mouth, more like a 6.
Imagine yourself typing on a keyboard.
Okay.
Can you feel the space in between the keys?
Yeah.
Can you feel the pressure and weight of each key as you press down on it?
Yes, I can.
Can you feel the texture of each key?
Yeah.
Can you feel the temperature of each key?
Yes, I can.
We got another person who can do temperature.
All right. Before we move on, is there any detail you can shed light on with all of those things you just said yes to? Is it because when Cole describes it, he's like, oh, I can feel it. It's like, he gets really excited about it. What was it like for you?
Well, okay. My mind was going back and forth between two types of keyboards. Like the one I have on my laptop, it's more metal, So temperature-wise, they start out cold, like just kind of cool to the touch. But then I was also thinking of like the older school keyboards that we had, the ones that make the really nice clicking sounds when you type. As I was using it more in my mind, I could feel them kind of just warming up a little bit more.
All right. So imagine you're typing on your keyboard again, and suddenly it's furry. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's weird. Initially, that was like gross, Like I didn't like the feeling on my fingertips. Kind of like, when you just rub up against like your fingers against velvet or something, a lot of people don't like that texture. And that was the initial feeling that I felt on just my fingertips. But I visualized it as like almost like a dog, like a fluffy dog.
Okay. But it didn't feel like a fluffy dog?
No, it felt like velvet. It was gross.
If you wanted to make it feel like that fluffy dog, could you?
I can. It was just that initial like fluffy and then immediately velvet, and then the visualization came after.
In this episode, we will be referring to what we call the nature picture. If you would like to view the nature picture to play along and better understand what we're talking about, you can find it on shanesbraindomain.com in the Aphantasia and Beyond section. If you are unable to take a look at the nature picture, it is a picture of a grove of tall trees with the sun shining brightly through the trees. There is a blue camping chair next to a peaceful flowing river with a campfire nearby.
Okay, we are now going to use that nature picture. Do you have that?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to look at that nature picture. Can you put yourself in the picture?
Yeah.
Can you see yourself there, or is it more like you are there?
It's more like I am there.
Okay. Can you walk around and explore the area?
Yeah.
Okay. What's that like? Is your brain creating new things as you explore?
I mean, it is like there's that water stream. I can hear that, and I can hear like the crunch of the leaves and the bushes under my feet, and there's crickets and birds.
Can you experience the weather in your mind? Can you feel the sun on your skin, or the wind in your hair, or anything like that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Can you experience the river? Can you hear it and put your hands and feet into the river and feel all of that?
Yeah.
Can you experience the campfire, its warmth, the smell, the crackling?
The smell's a little harder for that one. But yeah, I can.
Okay. Can you explain maybe why the smell is a little bit harder? I know smell was the one category where you weren't as strong with.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just like a physical manifestation. I've been having allergies, so my nose has been really stuffed up and making it harder to smell things. I don't know if that's what it is. I can smell it if I focus on it, but it's just harder to conjure up than like hearing or feeling it.
So wait, you're saying your experience with internal smell is connected to your actual nose? Like if your nose is stuffy, it can be harder to smell? Or like smell in your mind?
Yeah, it's all connected and it's really weird.
I'm confused, but okay. Can you experience the chair in your mind?
Yeah.
Can you feel it underneath you?
Yeah. Like feeling it, I can feel myself just like actually going to sit in it.
Okay. Is it like supporting your weight and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you feel like the fabric of the chair, or the details?
Yes, I can.
We're going to talk about reading. When you read a novel, is it like a movie in your mind or something else?
No, it's like I'm the main character in the novel experiencing it.
How realistic is it? How well can you visualize the characters and the surroundings?
It's normally pretty realistic. Like if I actually pay attention to reading while I'm reading, then yeah, it's very realistic.
Okay. Do you hear the sounds and voices in your mind?
Yes, I do.
Is there any narration that happens in your mind? So, for example, you're reading the book and the words say, the cow walked across the street. Do you hear anyone, your voice or anyone else, say that out loud? Or do you just see it happen?
I just see it happen and I hear the cowbell as it's walking and it moves.
Okay. And Cole, you said you actually hear the narration, right?
Yeah, I hear the narration.
What about audiobooks? Do you like audiobooks?
No.
All right. Why is that? Why do you prefer reading over listening?
I think it's just because, that audio is always going in my mind. The reading is so much easier to immerse myself in it. And like when I'm listening to an audiobook, my own thoughts just clash with it and I can't pay attention for the life of me. That's why I get so bored listening to lectures,
Right.
All right. Let's talk about sleep and dreams. What do you typically do to fall asleep?
I will turn on YouTube most of the time. Videos that I've already seen, so I don't have to pay attention to them, but background noise. Because as I get more tired, it kind of helps to drown out my own thoughts so that I can fall asleep.
What does the phrase counting sheep mean to you?
I've never actually used that to fall asleep. in times that I have visualized it, like it's literal, like a literal sheep, like jumping across the bed.
So it jumps across the bed.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, I never realized that was happening to our bed.
Yeah, it's really interesting with Alex because where a lot of people, their visualization is more in their mind, where hers is more projected into what her reality is.
Right.
So as she said, the horse is like right here. It came up in front of me. That's the same thing she's doing with the sheep. It's like it's not just off in her mind somewhere jumping over a fence. It's right in front of her jumping over her bed. Yeah. And that's really cool.
You can imagine why that doesn't help me sleep.
Farm animals in the house typically aren't good for falling asleep. How vivid and detailed are your dreams? Can you describe those for us? It's
always super vivid and detailed, like just how I experience thoughts or visualizing or anything. I'm in it, I'm experiencing it, like it's really happening, even though it's the most ridiculous stuff most of the time.
In terms of detail and the imagery and the sensations, would you say it's pretty realistic?
Oh, absolutely.
Are your dreams in first person or third person?
Always first.
Always first person. Okay. Do you experience any of the other senses in your dreams?
I do also feel things when they happen, though. Like if I get hit by a car or something, like for example, I would feel it.
You get hit by a lot of cars in your dreams?
Not lately.
What about that audio piece? You talked about how that's really strong. Do you have a lot of audio in your dreams?
Yeah, always a lot of audio going on. Like I'm still thinking in my dreams, so I'm still experiencing like how I think, the talking, the constant, it's always there even when I'm in my dreams. That's why I think it makes it more realistic.
So you can notice the thoughts in your mind in your dreams?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's like Inception right there. When you're dreaming, do you know you're dreaming?
I do always come around to realizing that I'm dreaming if I don't already know. It's weird because I'm still like experiencing it and feeling like it's real life, but at the same time, I'm like, I know it's not real.
Is your dream experience different from how you visualize when you're awake?
No.
It's exactly the same?
It's exactly the same.
Okay. How well do you remember your dreams?
Normally not very well unless I've been reading that day. I think it stimulates my mind so much and gets that creativity going. It helps me to better remember my dreams. The more I read before I sleep, though, the crazier the dream is going to be.
Is the dream related to what you've read?
Sometimes, not always. Maybe like a scenario or something that happened within the story.
Is there a correlation between how vivid the dream is and how well you remember it?
No. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because when you don't remember your dreams, you don't really remember how vivid it is. But even in dreams that like I'll remember like right when I wake up and then I forget, I know that it was vivid just because of how I experience the ones that I do remember.
If you want to recall a memory, can you see it in your mind?
Yeah.
Does it feel like you're reliving the memory or just watching it or something else?
It really can be either. I think initially, actually, it's kind of like I'm watching it, but still through my own eyes. Like I'm not really the one moving my arms, but I'm seeing it all play out. Like if you've ever seen like a movie kind of from first person, like the camera will like follow like what the person's like line of sight would be. That's kind of what I'd explain it or describe that as.
Do you experience your memories in first person, third person, or both?
I can do either. Like I can like almost hover above. It's weird though, because I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. Because I don't really see myself, but I see the rest of the memory.
So I want to try and distinguish your memories between other things you've talked about, because
Mhm.
With other things you're visualizing, you're like, I'm there. It's like I'm there.
Mhm.
And even when you're reading, I'm the main character. I'm there. It's happening around me. But with your memories, even though those really happen to you, it feels like they're not as real as some of those other things. Am I right on that?
No, yeah, you're totally right. And I mean, like, obviously fresher memories are not like that. People repress memories all the time, so I feel like, the longer it's been, and like if you've kind of tried to repress some of that memory, it just is so much harder to experience it again.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about mind storage. How would you describe how your mind stores information?
It's like an abyss. Like, it just, if I want to recall something, it comes from out of nowhere.
It's all just one big pit.
Like, it's the one giant pit.
What does the phrase search your mind mean to you? What's that like?
I think that depends on the context. And you just saying search your mind, I wouldn't say I'm visualizing it. I'm just walking around in the dark, though. Like, with no context, just search your mind, because like I don't associate it with a room or like a file cabinet or a desk or anything. Like, it's like, what am I even looking for? Like, if I'm not looking for anything, it's not there.
You said it's like walking in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Are you putting yourself somewhere?
Oh yeah, like I'm there. I feel it. I'm walking around.
Okay, because
when in an abyss.
In an abyss, yeah. Like, it's dark. I can't see anything, but
What if you were asked to search for something specific? Like search for the memory of your high school graduation. Is there any actual searching happening, or does it just pop up?
no, it kind of just pops up.
Does how you visualize affect how you perform in your career?
Actually, yes. So I work with kids, right? We have these whiteboard tables. You sit at one part, the kids are on the other side. And on a lot of time, like practice, like doing our math or writing groups there, I have to write stuff out for the kids, and I have to write it upside down. So like, normally we read from left to right. I have to write it upside down and right to left so that they can read it.
So do you visualize that first?
Yeah, I have to. If it's not more of like an automatic thing, then yeah, I have to like visualize it in my mind and then flip it in the correct way.
What do you think it would be like if you woke up tomorrow and you had aphantasia?
That depends. Aphantasia just in the sense that I can't visualize, or like all of the senses?
Well, in my case and a lot of others, it's all of the senses.
I'd probably go crazy. Like, that's how I know how to think, So it's like, I couldn't even imagine trying to like process it without that.
I want to talk really fast about the drawing piece because Alex is an incredible artist. She won't say so, but I love her artwork. I just want to ask, like, what your visualization is like as you're drawing.
I think that depends. There's some drawings that I absolutely need a reference for. But if I have like an idea of something that I want to do, I will pull up like multiple references just to try and get an idea. And then I'll go ahead and draw. Like I drew like an anatomical heart at one point, but the way that I wanted to do it wasn't in a way that I could find any references. So I had to get it like as correct as I could in my own mind and then add what I wanted to it.
So you're creating those images in your mind before you've even put pen to paper.
Oh, yeah. I get really frustrated when I draw. I'm very perfectionistic about it, but that's because I'm visualizing what I want to happen. And there's a lot of times that I just can't make that happen with my hands.
Did you do well in school or did you struggle?
I did really well in school.
Do you think your visualization abilities played a role in that?
In some classes, yes, like my science classes, and like math and my English classes, there wasn't a whole lot of visualization happening in my mind. So I wouldn't say that really helped me there.
Do you have any explanation of why there are certain roadblocks with your visualization when it comes to certain things like math?
I think math is really more like focus based, because I'm trying to put all of my focus into like this equation and making sure like I'm doing the steps correctly, doing it right, so like there's no capacity for the visualization. My English classes, if we were just like reading a story, I could visualize that, like I do. I was more thinking like in the writing of papers and stuff. There's no visualization happening because of all the focus and concentration I'm putting into the actual writing and how it sounds in my head.
What was happening in your mind during a test? Do you think it helped you there?
No, for how high I rank in like a lot of these senses, my memory is so far from photographic. So it was really just remembering, because I had no visual aids really during my testing. And if I didn't remember, it was just, you guess, or this sounds the most correct,
Right. And it sounds again like we're going back to how your memories aren't that strong. All right, that's interesting. If you were to try to give a general description of how your mind works and what you see in your mind's eye, how would you describe it?
I'd say it's noisy, for one. The more effort that I put into something, the stronger those senses are. And I will say, like, automatically, a lot of them are pretty strong. The more effort that I put into it, the more and more realistic it becomes.
All right, that was pretty cool. There was a lot of really good stuff in there.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was really fun.
All right, take care. Have a great day.
You too.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, follow, and engage with us, and share it with your friends and family as we continue to explore this fascinating subject. For additional information about this episode or Shane's Brain, check out the show notes. Thanks for listening to the Discovering Your Mind podcast. You are beautifully unique.